Hello, everyone. I'm here to tell you all that we need an immigration reform, and specifically I will be talking about the permanent residency. And the fees associated with this, with permanent residency, according to the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, are $1,070 for adults. And if they bring their children with them, they pay $635 for their children. And if they don't file at the same time, then the cost for children is the same as the cost for adults. Also, the green card, which permanent residency refers to, expires in 10 years. And so I don't think that it's really considered permanent residency, because if they don't renew the green card, then now they're considered illegal. I believe that the process to get the green card takes too long. The time needs to be extended more than 10 years, because 10 years is not a very long time. It goes by very quickly, and if you don't remember that you need to renew it, then you're considered illegal. You may get pulled over, you may get deported, and then that leads me to my next fact, that families are often separated. This is a mother, and she has 2 children, and her children were born here, so they are citizens of the United States, and something happens to where she doesn't renew her green card, and she comes in contact with the police, so she gets deported. Her children end up in foster care. And a lot of the times, because people don't have the money to come back, they don't get their children out of foster care. So a lot of families are separated, and that shatters lives. It destroys children to be away from their parents. A lot of people come to America for better education, better opportunities, and for these reasons alone, we should allow them to come here. We're here, and we're getting a great education. I know for me, I had to get grants and loans and stuff to be able to come here. If people are illegal, they can't get those same opportunities. And a lot of times, as President Obama stated, these children were carried over the border by their parents, never even knowing that they were illegal, and until they got old enough to apply for jobs or apply for school, and then they found out that they really can't do those things. If we change these policies, I believe there will be less illegal immigrants coming here, because they will be able to apply for a permanent residency and be here legally. And this will lead to less identity theft, because a lot of people that come illegally steal people's identities. And also, it will lead to, a lot of people think that jobs are taken by illegal immigrants, and leads to us having less jobs. But actually, these illegal immigrants are doing the jobs that us as Americans, we don't want to do. They do the farm work, they do the dirty work like cooking and doing people's laundry and stuff like that we wouldn't want to do. I don't like to do my own laundry, let alone do someone else's. So I think that with all that being said, we need a reform for immigration. Thank you.
So my team members have been talking to you about immigration reform. Clearly I'm not from here. I mean, if you haven't noticed, I'm sleeping, in class. But the part that I'm going to talk to you about is naturalization, which is the process that allows immigrants to become citizens, just like people who are born here. And this process, it's tedious, it's terrible. How many of you have gone to DMV before, been called up for jury duty? And keep your hands up if you like it. Jury duty? Really? Okay, so most of you reasonable people who don't like jury duty understand the pain of waiting in a room that smells like, month-old cheese. It's horrible. And that can be likened to the process of having to wait to become a citizen in this country, because first you have to check if you're eligible. Now, let me point out that there's a bunch of paper here. This is your first step. You've gotten to this country, you have a visa, you filled out a bunch more paper to become a permanent resident, and now you have to fill out more paper to see if you're eligible to be a citizen. So you have to be 18, according to the USCIS worksheet. They actually give you a worksheet that you have to fill out. You have to be 18, you have to be a permanent resident, so you have to go through the entire process we just described for you. And then they tell you you have to pay them $680 to fill out an 18-page application. Fun! Yay, killing trees. So after that's done, you have the lovely, lovely job of having to wait 6 months, if you're lucky. 6 years if you're not. How long is 6 years? That's longer than most of us spend in college, right? Most of us. But anyway, like I was saying, it's too long to wait considering how much money we have to pay the government. Not only that, once you're done waiting, they sign you up for an interview at a field office. If you live in California, you're fairly lucky. There's 11 field offices, and likely you only have to drive for an hour. If you live in Alaska or Oregon, there are only 1 office per state. Now, most of you know that Alaska is a really, really big state. 6 hours to drive from Fairbanks to Anchorage, where the office is. Now imagine how unhappy you would be if you had to go to DMV 6 hours away. You would be pissed. So this is what people have to do just to get to the citizenship test, which tests your ability to speak English and your civics knowledge. Now this process is flawed. It's got problems. There's not enough field offices. You're paying too much money for them to ignore you for 6 years. And lastly, that civics test I just talked about, it's riddled with factual errors. How would you like to take an exam that you know the answers to, but they tell you that they're wrong because they're wrong themselves? It's just not good. But that brings me to my point of wanting to know, why is it that we want people to be citizens? Well, as a citizen, you can vote. You can be chosen for jury duty. People who vote are involved in their communities. And if you can't vote, you probably won't care about what happens because you don't have a say in it anyway. And as for jury duty, let's just say that the more people are selected for jury duty, the less chances that, you'll be called. So you want this. Get on board, guys. Anyway, according to an article that I read in USA Today, we talked about the problems of charging way too much money. And here's the actual problem. It shuts the door on many hardworking immigrants, and people who oppose immigration even say that it's too much money. In an interview I did with someone who has been through the process, this person, Mr. Mitchell, told me that even though there's a fee hike, there's been no improvement. So opponents of saying this is too much money might argue that no, $680 isn't a lot of money, but it is, considering they're not doing their jobs and the fee hike isn't improving anything. Like I said, the field offices, they really require you to travel way too much, and there's an easy solution for that. If you set up a rotating system where people come to you and do the interviews in your city, immigrants will have to spend less money and will be more likely to go and apply for citizenship. And the last thing I just want to cover really quickly is the factual errors. The only thing that I found to be common knowledge for me is that there's question 51 on the exam questions that they give you to study for citizenship. It says, list 2 rights that everyone living in the United States has. It doesn't mention anything about citizens living in the United States. It doesn't mention anything about felons or children. And they expect you to come up with these answers that they've listed, and they're just not true. So think about these changes. They're easy changes to make, and they're good for you. Everyone hates jury duty, right? Not everyone, I guess, but thank you.